The power of now begins with a deeply personal transformation experienced by Eckhart Tolle, who once lived in a state of intense anxiety, depression, and inner conflict. One night, overwhelmed by suffering, he found himself thinking that he could not live with himself anymore. This simple yet profound thought created a sudden separation in his awareness, as he realized there seemed to be two entities within him, the I and the self. This realization shattered his identification with his mind and led him into a state of deep stillness and peace. From that moment onward, his perception of life changed completely. He discovered that much of human suffering is not caused by external circumstances, but by our constant identification with the mind and its endless stream of thoughts. This insight became the foundation of his teachings, which revolve around the idea that true peace and fulfillment can only be found in the present moment. Tolle explains that most people live their entire lives trapped in their minds, constantly thinking, analyzing, worrying, and reacting. The mind, while useful as a tool, becomes harmful when it takes control of our identity. It creates an illusion known as the ego, which is essentially a false sense of self built from memories, beliefs, labels, and judgments. People begin to define themselves based on their past experiences, achievements, failures, and societal roles, forgetting that these are temporary constructs rather than their true essence. This identification with the mind leads to a constant inner dialogue that rarely stops, creating a sense of restlessness and dissatisfaction. Instead of experiencing life directly, people interpret everything through the lens of their thoughts, which prevents them from truly being present. As a result, even when life is going well, there's often an underlying sense of unease because the mind is always seeking something more or worrying about what might go wrong. One of the central teachings of the book is the concept of time, particularly the distinction between practical time and psychological time. Practical time is necessary for daily functioning, such as planning, learning from the past, and setting goals for the future. However, psychological time is the mind's obsession with past regrets and future anxieties, and it is the primary source of human suffering. Tolle emphasizes that the past exists only as a memory, and the future exists only as a projection of the mind. The only reality that truly exists is the present moment, yet most people rarely fully experience it. Instead, they dwell on what has already happened, or worry about what might happen, missing the only moment where life actually unfolds. By constantly living in psychological time, people create unnecessary stress, fear, and dissatisfaction, even when there is no immediate problem in the present. The idea of living in the now is at the heart of the book. Tolle teaches that the present moment is not just a fleeting point between past and future, but the only place where life truly exists. When a person becomes fully present, their mind becomes quiet, and they experience a sense of peace and clarity that is not dependent on external circumstances. However, achieving this state is not easy because the mind is conditioned to constantly pull attention away from the present. People often find themselves physically in one place while mentally somewhere else, thinking about past events or future possibilities. This constant mental distraction prevents them from experiencing life fully and creates a sense of disconnection. Tolle suggests that by observing one's thoughts without judgment and bringing attention back to the present moment, it is possible to break free from this cycle and experience a deeper sense of awareness. Another important concept introduced in the book is the pain body, which refers to the accumulation of emotional pain from past experiences. This pain body exists as an energy field within a person and can be triggered by certain situations, causing intense emotional reactions that seem disproportionate to the present moment. When activated, the pain body feeds on negative emotions such as anger, sadness, and fear, often leading to destructive behavior and conflict. Many people are unaware of this process and believe that their reactions are justified by external circumstances, when in reality they are being controlled by unresolved emotional pain from the past. Tolle explains that the key to dissolving the pain body is awareness. By recognizing it as it arises and observing it without identifying with it, a person can gradually weaken its influence and free themselves from its control. Tolle also discusses the concept of resistance, which he describes as one of the main causes of suffering. Resistance occurs when a person mentally rejects or fights against the present moment, wishing that things were different. This resistance creates inner tension and amplifies negative emotions, making situations feel more painful than they actually are. According to Tolle, suffering is not caused by the situation itself, but by the mind's resistance to it. When a person accepts the present moment as it is without labeling it as good or bad, they release this resistance and experience a sense of peace. Acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation, but rather a clear acknowledgement of reality, which allows for more effective and conscious action. By letting go of resistance, a person can respond to life with greater clarity and wisdom, instead of reacting impulsively based on conditioned patterns. The book also explores the role of presence in relationships, particularly how unconscious patterns can lead to conflict and dissatisfaction. Many relationships are based on the need for validation, security, or fulfillment, which creates dependency and unrealistic expectations. When these expectations are not met, it often leads to frustration and conflict. Tolle explains that true love is not based on need, but on a state of inner completeness. When a person is fully present and connected to their true self, they do not seek fulfillment from others but share their sense of peace and presence. In such relationships, conflicts are not seen as problems, but as opportunities for greater awareness and growth. By observing their reactions and remaining present, individuals can break free from unconscious patterns and create more harmonious and authentic connections. Another key teaching in the book is the idea of surrender, which involves fully accepting the present moment without resistance. Surrender is often misunderstood as giving up or being passive, but Tolle clarifies that it is actually a powerful state of alignment with reality. When a person surrenders, they stop fighting against what is and instead allow life to unfold naturally. This does not mean that they do not take action, but rather that their actions come from a place of clarity and awareness, rather than fear or resistance. Surrender allows a person to move beyond the limitations of the ego and experience a deeper sense of peace and freedom. It is through surrender that one can access the stillness and presence that lie beyond the constant activity of the mind. Ultimately, the power of now points toward a state of consciousness that Tolle describes as enlightenment, which is the realization of one's true nature beyond the mind. In this state, a person is no longer controlled by thoughts or emotions and experiences a deep sense of inner peace and joy that is not dependent on external circumstances. Enlightenment is not something that needs to be achieved in the future, but something that can be realized in the present moment by letting go of identification with the mind. Tolle emphasizes that this state is not reserved for a select few, but is accessible to anyone who is willing to become aware of their thoughts and return to the present moment. By practicing presence, observing the mind, and letting go of resistance, a person can gradually awaken to their true nature and experience life in a more profound and fulfilling way. In conclusion, the power of now offers a transformative perspective on life by revealing that the source of most human suffering lies in the mind's attachment to time and its constant need to interpret and control reality. By shifting attention to the present moment and becoming aware of one's thoughts, it is possible to break free from this cycle and experience a deeper sense of peace, clarity, and fulfillment. The teachings in the book encourage a fundamental shift in consciousness, from identifying with the mind to recognizing oneself as the observer of thoughts. This shift allows a person to live more fully in the present, free from the burdens of past and future, and to discover a sense of inner stillness that is always available beneath the surface of the mind.